This Excel demonstration has to do with confidence intervals. So I'm using an Excel workbook labeled Excel Demonstration Store A and B Confidence Intervals. So we're going way back. I'm using that old data way back from the descriptive statistics where we had the two stores and their prices. So store A price and store B price. And now we're going to calculate confidence intervals. So remember, this data that we were working with way back when is sample data. So it's sample data, so I do not know my sigma. So my sigma is unknown, so that means I need to do a t interval. So I'm not using z, I'm using t interval in this one's case. So I've kind of set this workbook up for us so that we can step through, and we're going to do store A and we're going to do store B. So the things that I need that I have set up in this column is I need the mean, I need the standard deviation, I need the sample size, I need a margin of error, and then I'm going to calculate the lower bound, the upper bound, and then I'm going to give the confidence interval. So let's just put up here at the very top, let's say that I'm doing this with an alpha of 5%. And we'll do that with both of the two stores. So the first thing that I need is I need the mean. And so I put the command over here to the right just in case you forgot. So I'm going to say equals average parenthesis. I'm going over to my store A and I'm going to grab the prices all the way down. Enter. I'm going to make this whole column general as far as the formatting is concerned. So I'm not going to use the dollars. I'm going to use the general so that it can carry all of those decimal places. Then we're going to do the standard deviation. So the same thing. So equal standard deviation of the sample. So dot S. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to highlight those same values again. Oops. Let me try it one more time. Equal, I think I didn't put the parentheses. So standard deviation dot S parenthesis. Come over here and grab this. Go all the way down and pick them all up. Enter. Next thing is the sample size. Both stores had a sample size of 30, so I'm just going to type 30 in. Next thing that I need is I need the margin of error. So the margin of error is that actual confidence command that we're going to use in Excel. So Excel does not give us the confidence intervals. It has a procedure to compute the margin of error. And then we're going to have to take that margin of error and add it to the sample mean and subtract it from the sample mean to create that confidence interval. So we're going to use Excel to find the margin of error. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to pick my function, and I'm going to type in confidence. Let's put confidence interval, and let's see what it gives us. So we'll type confidence interval, and it says confidence norm, confidence. And so the one that I want to use in our case is I want to use confidence.t. So let's see. So let's try this one more time. So let's do confidence T and see what I get. So I'm going to do go. Confidence T comes up at the very top. So I'm using T because I'm using the T student distribution when sigma is not known. I don't know the population standard deviation. So I'm going to say OK. And then it says, what is your alpha? My alpha is 0.05. What's the standard deviation? I'm trying to move this out of the way. Maybe down a little bit. So standard deviation comes next. So I'm going to click this. Sorry, let me try this again. Standard deviation, and then I need, so I goofed up our pop-up table. So after that one, I need to do comma, and then our sample size is 30. Enter. 0.76599. Now notice how I'm not doing any rounding because I'm not rounding in the intermediate steps. I'm carrying all the decimals and then I'll round when I make my decision on my final answer. So my lower bound is going to be the mean, the sample mean, minus the margin of error. The upper bound is going to be the sample mean plus the margin of error. Now I'm going to interpret it and write this confidence interval. And so I'm going to write this. I know I'm in money, but I'm going to follow our rounding rules for the class. And, I'm going to put them in here first. So let's just put them as regular general format, and then we'll make the interpretation. And so in this general format, I'm going to say that it's, I'll actually put the $sign in front. So 4.237. So one more than our original data, and our original data was to 2 decimal places, and then it's going to go all the way up to the upper bound. So I'll say 5.769. So that's what I'm going to give there. But for my interpretation, I'm going to say that the population mean is between, since I'm talking about money, so this is just my informal interpretation, $4.24 to $5.77. So like I said, that's just my definition because I understand I'm talking about money as far as this is concerned. And so we're going to say one can be 95% confident that the population mean of the prices at store A is between $4.24 and $5.77. Okay, so let's do exactly the same thing with this second one. And so for store B. So the first one is the mean. So the mean, I'm going to say equals the average. I'm going to go grab that data from store B. So store B started up here at 99 cents. All 30 pieces of data. Then I'm going to do the standard deviation. I'm going to rename this as general again, so it keeps wanting to go to that accounting mode. So general. Then I'm going to do the standard deviation. So the command is up here, standard deviation.s. So equals stdev.s of the store B prices again. Okay, so what happened to this one? Guess I'm forgetting to put the parentheses in there. Okay, I give up. So let's see. So I'm going back down here again. Now it says divide by 0. I'm doing standard deviation in the parentheses. I'm going back up. starting at the 99%, going all the way down to the 30 pieces of data. So I'm sorry for that confusion, my lack of competency. Sample size is 30. Now we're going to calculate the margin of error. So equals confidence T, parenthesis, alpha goes in first. So we said 5%, written as a decimal. Then the standard deviation goes next. So I'm going to click on that. Then the sample size, 30. So there's my margin of error. Now the upper bound is going to be equals, well, for some reason I typed upper bound first. So let's do the 4, and we're going to add the margin of error to it. And then the lower bound, we're going to take the value and we're going to subtract the margin of error from it. So my confidence interval is going to be, so let's put my $ in here, and let's interpret it to the 3 decimal points for the right rounding. 3.447 to 5.418. So that would be the answer with the right rounding. But because we're talking about money, again, we're going to say $3.45 to $5.42. So therefore, one can be 95% confident that the population mean of the prices at store B are somewhere between $3.45 and $5.42. So it's interesting. So look at what the confidence intervals are: $4.24, $5.77, $3.45 to $5.42. So there is a possibility that the population mean is exactly the same for these two stores, since there's an overlap of the intervals.